What's good, y'all? Elvis here. The last time y'all saw me, I think I was in a suite. Now I've actually moved back to a shop. It's making me realize I don't know what the hell I want for real. I'm starting to feel like my barber career is really just starting now. For about 9 years, I've been a barber. You know what I'm saying? I've been cutting hair seriously. I've been licensed for about, what I want to say, around 5 or 6 of those years. After all that, now in a little bit, I'm about to go through the process of becoming a barber instructor. It's making me come to a new understanding of things that I thought I knew already. Like, one nuanced topic when it comes to the barber industry is the difference between a hair cutter and a barber. A hair cutter is somebody who cuts hair. A barber is a hair cutter who builds a relationship with the client. It's bigger than the haircut. It's about the relationship with the client. Like, I've told people about the difference between a hair cutter and barber many times. And I'm just realizing, like, not that I'm a hypocrite, but the way I've been approaching my business for a while, I've been having hair cutter energy with it. This is something that I love to do. I love the effect that it has on people. I love how it allows me to interface with the world. But ultimately, I was doing it for me. So I went through the process of getting licensed, going to a suite, doing a bunch of all the creative stuff I wanted to do within the barbering industry. And now I'm realizing that I was never happy doing that. I found little pockets of what I thought was happiness, little pockets of excitement. But realistically, my happiness was never where I was aiming. It was always past where I was aiming. And it's showing me, like, I can't take what I think too seriously. My understanding ain't shit to God's understanding. And I feel like my barber career is really just starting over again because, you know, I've been cutting hair for years, making money, interacting with people. But it was a lot of one-on-one interactions because I'm a very private person. When I first started cutting hair, it was not even a suite technique. I was just cutting in my living room, one client at a time, appointments. But then I went to barber school. This is the first time I'm interacting with other people that really cut hair in the industry. Prestige Barber College, my old barber school, I work there on Tuesdays now. Cutting people at the barber school was my least favorite thing about barber school when I was in barber school. But now, those kind of interactions are the thing I value the most within this industry. I ran the whole gambit. I jumped through all the hoops. I diversified. I tried a bunch of different angles of things just to find out I find happiness in the things that grow me, but not at the beginning or the end of that. It's always in the middle, during. I only find peace in the process. Even now, the things that I have as stress on my chest are very kind of negligible. I've dealt with things that are a lot harder, and even though these are things that strain me a little bit, I'm realizing how much I actually love the chaos. I love when things are as wrong as can be and I have something to execute on, to improve, to optimize. When everything is chill and, like, bro, it's peaceful as hell right now, bro. I have a few errands to run today and I got a haircut or two, you know what I'm saying? It's a vibe, it's a Monday, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little antsy. Like, I want to go find a mission to get on, you know what I mean? Like, but I realize that's just the kind of person I am, and I feel like I've been working in spite of myself, trying to fit into a bunch of different molds because I was told that was what success was. Or even I told myself that's what success was. I can't be too attached to my understanding of things. I only have a sliver of the grander perspective. Even if my perspective is right and correct, and it might be more efficient in a bunch of ways than somebody else, it doesn't mean that the inherent value is greater. It's real trippy because I really don't care about cutting hair no more. Like, it's really cool. When people sit down, haircuts happen. I don't really feel sparked creatively as much in the haircutting process. I feel a lot more sparked creatively and spiritually talking to the person whose hair I'm cutting, peeling a few layers back, seeing what your depth is. And this last month that I've been at the shop, Urban Renaissance, shout out to the Urban Renaissance team, bro. I've never been around a group of barbers so gifted at just their art, but then let's say spiritually. Every day I walk in there, I leave a different person because somebody gave me some perspective that God wanted me to have. And that shit challenged me on a regular. It's never destructive criticism, you know what I mean? Like, there's the people that want to criticize you to tear you down, and there's people that want to criticize you to build you up. I feel like I'm spiritually getting constructed every time I walk into that shop. Because if it's not the barbers that say something that touch my spirit, it's the clients. It's such a high vibrational environment. It attracts all kinds of people. It requires you to rise to a certain kind of standard. You only realize when you've been playing around when something really just checks your frame of reference. For a long time, I thought I was doing the most I could with barbering. Being attached to your own understanding puts you in a bubble, especially when you're not exposed to people that would challenge your perspective or just challenge your approach. The first 3 years I was learning to cut hair, mainly YouTube, trial and error and whatnot. And YouTube really benefited my process. But realistically, I got way more just being around barbers, getting real-time feedback versus, like, listen, YouTube might be an infinite resource, but we only have a finite amount of time. You're only really going to connect to the people that are speaking your dialect of understanding. That's one of infinite dialects. So just because you can see somebody on YouTube and learn from them does not mean that's the most effective way for you to learn for your perspective. And I learned that when I just started politicking with barbers and being out in the city. There was a lot of people who gave me who were very excited to give me a bunch of game, and a lot of it was useful, but a lot of it, if it didn't apply, I let it fly. Through a trial of over and under corrections, buying a bunch of clippers to realize I don't need them. You know what I'm saying? Wasting time and energy here to find out the real skills I need to work on. I thought what I needed to do to elevate my business, elevate my love of my craft, was to move out of a shop and get into a suite, because I was getting tired of other barbers making their shit my problem. But realistically, that was an overcorrection, because I know, like, math, algebra rules, it's like subtracting a negative is the same as adding a positive. But realistically, it's not that simple. Subtracting a negative is good for your growth because you have things that aren't creating resistance for you now. But that's not the same as charging yourself up in a direction that is conducive for you. And I feel like when I moved out of a shop, that was me just getting away from things that were actually, like, niggas were making moves to affect my business. They were negatively affecting my clientele. They were negatively affecting my energy, my attitude. And that doesn't help any way I show up for my clients or in my business or in my life. I'm realizing these people are moving in ways that are making me resent them. So I knew I had to get away, and I thought that was the simplest solution. But it was also deeper than that, because I have a big threshold for, like, toxicity. I grew up in an environment where I didn't really have a choice but to deal with shit. I have a superpower of dissociating. I'll repress, I'll push my feelings down, to worry about this later. You know what I'm saying? And that was a tool for survival at a certain point. But now I'm realizing anytime I'm feeling that in an interaction with somebody, I'm losing love for you, and I can't allow that. We don't have to be friends, but I'm going to establish a boundary. A boundary is a place where we can be loved mutually without stepping on anybody's ideas of what respect is. Moved out the shop because I was fed up with all the low quality interactions and the resentful shit that was going on. Get into a suite, you know, I'm branching out, doing a bunch of things I didn't have the option to. But now I feel myself kind of slowing down because I'm forgetting why I'm doing it. You know what I mean? Like, I realized that I was so accustomed to moving out of a bad situation, I actually don't know how to move to a good situation. I just know how to move out of a worse situation. So I thought the suite was what I wanted. And 6 months in, I'm tired of this shit. I'm spending apartment rent on a place I don't care about being, outside of literally just cutting some hair. I feel like I got a quota over my head. I'm a workaholic, so I don't relax anyway. But I couldn't even find an excuse to relax, because I'm thinking, like, it don't make sense to make money to cover the thing that's taking money out of my pocket. I didn't even feel comfortable doing other creative things. But realistically, I should have been at the shop 4 years ago. But I was leaning on my own understanding. I thought my happiness and my peace was outside myself. But it's really within, and you only really experience that going through the process of something worthwhile. You know, I believe we're not machines, but I believe we're meant to do work. And that's spiritual, creative work. Even the work that you consider work has levels of creativity and spirituality mixed in, because if you're dealing with people, you're going to connect to their spirit in some way, even if it's surface level. Same thing with art, like language arts. That's a way of expressing creativity. The way you speak to people, the way you dress, the way you interact, verbal as well as non-verbal communication. There's so many different layers and nuance of the things that we find appealing within life.